It's summer, which means for a lot of us our reading habits are a little changed because of travel and vacations and things like that. So I wanted to share with you some great summer reads that I have on my bookshelf. So what is a great summer read? For me, the criteria is simple. Something not too long and not too complex. The kind of book that you can read and then you can set it aside for a few days or a week and then come back to it and you're not going to be totally lost and feel like you have to start over again or abandon it altogether. So I came up with 10 books for this list. Before I forget, please like and subscribe if you do like this video and drop me a little comment below. The likes and comments help YouTube know to send this video out to more people to see. So I appreciate you doing that to help support the channel. So I came up with 10 books, a mixture of fiction and nonfiction that I think fit the criteria that I mentioned. Not too short, not too complex. Additionally, I'm going to link below a video that I did a few months ago on great short reads because a lot of those fit into this category very well. So between the two videos, hopefully you get a few suggestions of things that you might want to read this summer. So a couple of them have a theme. So I'm going to start with The Beach by Alex Garland. Now, before you jump away from this video and think this is just going to be a bunch of cheesy titles based on summer, The Beach is a really riveting, suspenseful thriller. You may not know Garland as an author, but you probably know him as a screenwriter. He wrote some great films like Sunshine, 28 Days Later, and one of my favorite films, Ex Machina, which he also directed that one. And The Beach was one of the first things that he wrote, and I think it's the only novel he's written up to this point. And it's a really suspenseful thriller that is basically about a couple that's traveling and they find the perfect beach until it isn't. And it's a really great tale, and I think it's just the kind of book that would be a great summer read for a lot of you. So the next one is keeping with our summer theme, and it's a work of nonfiction. When I lived in Dallas, every year we would take a trip to the Texas State Fair, basically to see what kind of things they decided to deep fry this year. But there's a great book that I read that I highly recommend that is about a World's Fair and a serial killer. And that is Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. And this is about the World's Fair, 1893 in Chicago, and details the planning and the building of everything that they had to do for the fair, but also details probably America's first serial killer, who pretty much had a house of horrors at the fair that he used for his victims. It's a riveting, riveting tale. If you've never read Erik Larson, he's one of the few nonfiction writers that I've read that makes nonfiction feel like a novel. And that's what this felt like. And it's a highly riveting tale that I think would be a great summer read if you're interested in either of those two topics. So maybe you don't go to the fair over the summer, but you probably do go to amusement parks, which makes me think of Joyland by Stephen King. This is a really great work. This is one of the ones in his Hard Case Crime publications, which is kind of the pulp fiction types of stories that he tells. And this is set around an amusement park. I won't tell you much more than that. I found when I was talking about Later by Stephen King last month that when I thought about it, because Stephen King is such a great storyteller, I actually enjoy his works more when I go in a little bit more blind, rather than knowing exactly what the story's about, just letting him tell the story and let it unfold. But Joyland has a lot of the elements of King that is great, some horror elements, some coming-of-age elements, and above all, some great storytelling. And it's a great summer read because it's not too long like a lot of his works. But Joyland by Stephen King is my next recommendation. So summer makes me think of baseball. I haven't read that many baseball books, but one that I did enjoy is the memoir by Jim Morris called The Oldest Rookie. This was made into a delightfully wholesome film called The Rookie, starring Dennis Quaid, and it's the story of a 40-year-old man who makes his major league debut. It has a lot of themes of home and community and, chasing your dreams, and it's a great summer read because you can easily set it down for a few days and come back. But The Oldest Rookie is a great baseball tale and a great memoir and a really good one for this list. All right, one last one with summer in the title, and then I promise I'm done. And that is The Summer Guest by Justin Cronin. This, in many ways, is the great American novel. It's one of the finest books I've read in recent years. Hey everyone, Editor Josh interrupting here. Because I love The Summer Guest so much, I was kind of rambling on this video, and I couldn't make it make any sense. So I just want to say about The Summer Guest, it's about a man who has been going to this kind of fishing village in Maine for the past 30 years, and this is going to be his last trip. And it also tells the story of a lot of his visits throughout the years, and it tells the story of the people that own this summer home, and it tells his story, and it's all wrapped up into this truly beautiful tale that, again, I said is a contender for what I consider the great American novel. So The Summer Guest is definitely a great summer read that a lot of you will enjoy. All right, I think summer is the perfect time to explore reading shorter fiction. So my next two recommendations are two collections of short stories. And short stories certainly fulfill the criteria that I laid out at the beginning. Not too long, not too complex, because you can finish a short story, set the collection aside for a week, and then you're starting from ground zero the next time you read again. So the first collection is 9 Stories by J.D. Salinger. I read The Catcher in the Rye and loved it, recognized the greatness of Salinger, hated Holden Caulfield, but I wanted to read more, and I realized I received this as a gift in high school and hadn't read it since. So I reread this just a couple years ago, and these 9 stories, they're all really great, and what they do most is they just show you how great an author Salinger is, specifically how well he creates character, because to create vivid characters in a short story setting, it really takes a master to be able to do that. Some novelists, you get to the end of a novel and you don't really know the characters, and I felt in this collection that I knew a lot of these characters very, very well. If you were to Google great short story authors, I'm pretty confident that Raymond Carver would be on just about every hit. This collection, Where I'm Calling From, is a collection of his finest short stories. What's most remarkable to me with these short stories is how they stuck with me. For someone who reads as much as I do, 80 to 100 books a year, the short ones don't stick with me very long. So after 5-6 years, most short stories are gone. But several of these, it's been over 10 years since I read this collection, and several of these I can still picture very vividly, the circumstances, some of the characters, which just shows that he is truly a master of this short form. There are about 20 or 25 stories in this collection, and if you like short stories and haven't read Raymond Carver, go do it, because I think you will not be disappointed in anything in this collection. All right, so you're probably noticing my list is a lot different than most of the summer reads list, because I don't often read a lot of mainstream fiction. But there's one work of mainstream fiction that is a thriller that I can definitely recommend, that if you've not read it or seen the movie, you will probably be blown away, and that's Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. This book has one of the best plot twists I've ever read. And that's all I knew going in. I only knew, oh, it's a really good book, it's got a great plot twist. And it certainly did. If you've seen the movie, the book might not be as enjoyable afterwards because you know the twist. But if you haven't read it, it's as good a thriller as anything. The only downside is it was so good that we've basically had 5-10 years of pretenders and copycats trying to catch that magic that Gillian Flynn did. And every book says, oh, it's the next Gone Girl, and none of them are. This is really one of the finest thrillers I've ever read with the finest plot twist. So if you like more mainstream fiction and you don't know the big reveal in this one, oh, pick it up, because Gone Girl's really good. All right, 2 left, 1 nonfiction and 1 fiction. My last nonfiction selection is Winter Dance, The Fine Madness of Running the Iditarod by Gary Paulsen. This is easily the funniest book I've ever read. I don't ever remember reading a book that made me laugh out loud so often as this one did. It's a story of Gary Paulsen, who wants to enter and finish the Iditarod, the sled dog race up in Alaska. He doesn't know anything about sled dogs. He doesn't know anything about racing. And all the mistakes he makes along the way, it's so hilarious. Just to give you one as an example, when he buys his dogs and he brings them home, he's so anxious to, get out there with them, but it's not winter and he doesn't have a sled, so he decides to attach the dogs and get on his 10-speed. So you can imagine what that scene was like. But it's full of scenes like that, and it's a true story, and it's a really, really great work. If you've not read Winter Dance, It's a truly delightful book that anybody can enjoy. All right, my last summer recommendation is from this collection. Although you can read all of Different Seasons by Stephen King, what I really want to talk about is one of the novellas in this collection. There are 4 novellas in this collection, and the one called The Body, I think, is a good, perfect summer read. Although this being Different Seasons, he actually calls that the fall tale. It just makes me remember being a kid in the summer. For me in the summer, it felt like the summer lasted forever, and every day you'd get up after breakfast and you'd meet your friends and you'd be outside all day, you know, playing and getting into adventures. And The Body is that kind of tale. It's as good a coming-of-age tale as I've read anywhere. It was made into a very delightful film in the 1980s called Stand By Me, and I think it's one that just about everybody would love. And even though it's labeled as fall in Different Seasons, The Body is truly a great summer read. All right, so that's my list. Do you have any recommendations for great summer reads? Please leave those in the comments below. Additionally, in the description below, I linked the other video that I referenced for the great short reads, under 250 pages video that I made a couple months ago. You might get some good ideas there as well. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, where I do one-sentence book reviews every time I finish a book. And Goodreads, I update that just about every day to just give people updates on what I'm reading at any given time, and longer reviews on that platform as well. But as always, thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.